Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives. Welcome to episode 17 of 6 with 6 Strings. Before we get started, I'm just spinning a little Anthrax. I just saw on Amazon that the 4 John Bush era albums are up for pre-order, released I think February 5th, 2021. So I'm a big fan of Anthrax and a huge fan of John Bush. Just loving that new Armored Saint, Punching the Sky. I cannot recommend that one enough. Fantastic album. There's a guy who's just hasn't lost a step in his vocals. Just fantastic. But anyways, really good to be able to pick up these Anthrax albums that are a little, well, some of them they haven't been released on vinyl for years, and even some of the CDs like Volume 8 Threat is Real is very hard to get. That company actually went broke a long time ago. Excuse me. Anyways, if you're interested, they are coming out via Megaforce Records on CD and vinyl. Like I said, February 5th. Jump on those pre-orders. Try to get the best price you can. So anyways, back to episode 17 of 6 with 6 Strings. Again, if you're new to the channel, this is just me blabbing about 6 random albums from my collection. Getting some feedback from you, how you feel about some of these albums, how you feel about some of these bands. So today I'm going to start off with my favorite album of 2017. You know, maybe a lot of you don't even know what my favorite album of 2017 was. Well, it was, this one came a little bit ahead of number 2. Number 2 that year of 2017 is Overkill, The Grinding Wheel. But this is my favorite from 2017. This is Kreator, Gods of Violence. Absolute thrashterpiece. Anything that Kreator's done, I love early Kreator, fantastic. But their past 5 albums, Violent Revolution, what are they all? Enemy of God. Just the past 5 are fantastic, heavy, melodic, great songwriting. This album, honestly, it doesn't have a weak track on it. You could check out pretty much. Check out Satan is Real, awesome track. Gods of Violence, what a song that is. There is a solo, I don't know, about 3 minutes and 48 seconds in. The solo, fantastic. I mean, Sammy added so much to this band when he came in 2001. Trading off solos with Millie, fantastic. Hail to the Hordes, just love that song. It just gets me pumped up every time I put it on. I could throw it in my truck on the way to somewhere and just be, just banging your old head like crazy. Anyways, check out Side by Side, fantastic song, love it. Fallen Brother, very solid effort from Kreator from 2017. They're not fast in the studio by any means. You're looking at 4 to 5 years for an album. So the latest thing they put out from this year is just one single that I picked up called 666 World Divided. So if this is any indication of where we're going with the next album, which I'd imagine would be coming out in 2021, we're in for a treat again. Just Kreator doing what they do best and kind of staying on that same path they have been over the past, about 20 years now. So check out this song if you haven't already. All right, next up in this episode, we're going to go with a band that I favor their first 4 albums. And, after that, there's a drop-off. Their 5th album's not bad. I do enjoy it. But this is a compilation album that I really, really enjoy. And this is Leppard Retroactive. So basically, this is a compilation of touched up B-sides, some unreleased tracks. And the cool part about this, you still have a lot of input from Steve Clark on here. Oh, great songs like Desert Song's really good. 2 Steps Behind You and Miss You in Heartbeat. Those 2 are, they're kind of slower ballad type of things, but they're really, really good songs. What else do I like on here? What is that song? Yeah, Right Into the Sun, decent song. Yeah, overall, really good. If you haven't heard this, I don't know, is this the last good thing Def Leppard ever did. I don't know, that's up to you, but I like Adrenalize. It's got a few great tracks, but after that, I really lost track of Def Leppard. And I would say my two favorite albums are High and Dry for sure, and Pyromania. And if I had to pick one out of those two, I would definitely go with High and Dry. That's my favorite. Let me know in the comments what you think of, you know, are you still a fan to this day? Or did they just, you know, after Adrenalize or after this, did they just kind of drop out of sight for you? Next up, I was reading Rob Halford's book, Confess. Really enjoyed that book. You know, and it went over lots of things. A lot, you know, it's a very personal book, but there's still lots of stuff about, you know, Priest, of course, and then his stint, or where he started the band Fight. Not my favorite of his stuff that he's done. My favorite of his solo stuff is this album. Fantastic. 2000 release under the name Halford Resurrection. Now, this could easily be like a follow-up to Painkiller. I mean, the opening track is just, it'll blow the doors off. It's so good. You know, definitely not as solid as Painkiller. I wouldn't put it up there quite that high, but a fantastic release from the Metal God. If you haven't checked out some of Rob's solo material, it's really good. I think he has 3 albums and a winter Christmas album type of thing. But this one's produced by Roy Z. Check out the tracks Made in Hell, Locked and Loaded, really good. There's actually a duet on here with Bruce Dickinson called The One You Love to Hate. Cool song. And a couple other tracks that I really like on here are called Slow Down and track 9, Twist. So this is from 2000. If you're a Priest fan, you know, Priest, Maiden, whatever, definitely check out some of Halford's solo material. Really good. And next up we have a band that I actually did feature in an episode, I think way back in episode 4. This band, I featured an album by this band called Headhunter. And if you don't have Krokus Headhunter in your collection, you should really check it out. It's probably the heaviest thing it is the heaviest thing they've ever done. Krokus got a lot of recognition basically in the 80s. Prior to that, they're not known that well. And then after that, they kind of just fell out of favor or whatever. I was fortunate enough to see these guys in 1984 with a fantastic opening band, and that was Wasp on their first tour. So they opened for Krokus, and that was on the Blitz tour. Anyways, the album I'm going to show you today is Krokus's, in case you lost track of Krokus, which a lot of people have, I'm going to show you their 16th studio album called Hoodoo. And this lineup, if you're familiar with this band, this is the exact same lineup as way back in 1982 on an album called One Vice at a Time. And if you throw this on and you didn't know that this album came out in, what year did this come out? 2010. You'd hear a lot of that almost, stuff from One Vice at a Time, that type of, you got the guitar tones in there, exact same lineup. Really good. And the other thing with this band is when Brian Johnson couldn't continue with AC/DC on the whatever that tour was called, where is it? The whatever their last tour was, I forget. Anyways, Brian Johnson couldn't continue. I thought, what a great replacement Mark Strachey would be for the rest of that tour, because these guys definitely have an AC/DC vibe about them. The guitar tones, just the whole rock and roll feel, definitely have AC/DC vibes, and his voice. I would say Mark's voice is a mixture of, I would say 60% Bon Scott, 40% Brian Johnson. It would fit the band so well, but I do understand why they got Axl Rose. I mean, they want to put you know, they want to put bums in the seats and they want people to be happy, and they had to get a real big name. So I do understand that, but Mark would have been a killer fit to, you know, jump in and take over for Brian. But if you're interested in some newer Krokus, definitely check out Hoodoo. Check out the first song, Drive It In, A Hoodoo Woman, great song. Kind of got an unnecessary cover of Born to Be Wild on here, just basic. I mean, that song's been covered to death. A song called Ride Into the Sun, and it wraps up with a great song called Firestar. So that's from 2010, 16th overall studio album from Krokus. In case you've lost track of these guys, a lot of you just know these the albums like you know, One Vice at a Time, Headhunter, The Blitz, stuff like that. But don't be afraid to check out some of the newer stuff. Oh, I had to mention that on the Def Leppard album, there is a song on here called where is it? She's Too Tough. So this came out in 1993. But prior to that, the Canadian band Helix first recorded that song on this album, on Wild in the Streets. Check that out. I still like Helix's version a bit better, but I am a huge Helix fan. So anyways, what else do we have left here? Got that one, and two more to go. So next up is a band that I've been listening to quite a bit lately, and I just thought I'd show you this album. It's still out there. It's inexpensive, and if you haven't heard of Heathen yet, this is their debut album from 1987 called Breaking the Silence. This is a reissue on Century Media. I think it was reissued here in 2008. So this one's still, excuse me, this one's still out there, and you know, you can still get it for, you know, $12, $13. So really inexpensive. Cool part about this album, this was produced by Ronnie Montrose. Rest in peace, Ronnie. So that's pretty cool, but this is a very thrashy album, and one of my favorites from this band. I mean, they only have 4 albums. Their newest album here just released, 6 weeks ago, called Empire of the Blind. If you haven't checked that out, definitely a great album to check out. On here, check out the tracks Death by Hanging, Goblin's Blade, awesome. There is a sweet cover of Set Me Free on here. It's okay, pretty basic, but not bad. Breaking the Silence, and my favorite song on this album is the last track called Save the Skull. So if you haven't checked out Heathen's debut, definitely check this one out. Really good stuff. All right, we'll wrap up this episode with another band that I'm hoping will have a release here in at least, well, probably not in 2020, but 2021. I will show you what I've picked up from them recently, but excuse me. I've been listening to a little bit of Running Wild lately, and this is Black Hand In. So this is their 8th overall studio album, and it is from 1994. Great album. I really enjoy this album. This was a solid lineup too for 3 albums, I think. So this lineup was on Masquerade and The Rivalry, and we got who's on this album here? I forget. Actually, George Michael, or would you say Jorg Michael on drums. He's been with tons of albums with like Stradivarius. He's been on one of my favorite Saxon albums called Lionheart. And another guy on here is the bass player Thomas, who's been on, I think about 3 UDO albums. Really solid lineup. You got Rockin' Ralph on here. And these reissues from BMG, by the way, are fantastic. Really solid digipacks. I have no complaints here. But great album. Check out the song Black Hand In, Mr. Deadhead. Love that song. The single on here is fantastic. If you don't YouTube anything, or if you don't know much about this album, at least give the song The Privateer a listen. You'll really enjoy that, I think. Free Wind Free Wind Rider, Powder and Iron. Yeah, definitely a great album from Running Wild, Black Hand In. And recently I picked up, I think it was the end of, maybe at the start of this year, but this is still from 2019. But they put out this EP called Crossing the Blades. 4 songs, really good. If this is any indication of where they're going with their next album, I'll be really looking forward to it. They really restore that sound from albums like this. You know, some of their other newer stuff, they kind of got off track a little bit, in my opinion, but check out the track Crossing the Blades. This is, by the way, it's only 4 songs. Stargazed, awesome. Very good cover of Kiss's Strutter. I mean, I love the song Strutter, and these guys do a hell of a job on it. And the 4th track on here is called Ride on the Wild Side. Really cool. Yeah, definitely, if you are not familiar with Running Wild, pirate metal, whatever metal, does it really matter? Check out some Running Wild. But that is it for today's episode. Always thank you guys for stopping by, letting me know, some of these ones that you really enjoy. A few recommendations in the comments section. Always like checking out new music myself. But until next time, stay heavy, stay safe.